Hi everyone, happy Monday. Welcome back to Mrs. McNeil's class at home. I'm so glad you joined me today. Let's get started by singing hello to all the children of the world. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Hello, bonjour, buenos dias. Good day, guten tag, konnichiwa. Ciao, shalom, dobre diem. Hello to all the children of the world. Very good. First, I'd like to say that I'm so happy with all the work you all did last week. We started our plant unit and we've already did so much learning. You guys investigated seeds, you started your plant book, some of you even planted some seeds, you did your bean experiment. So I'm so excited to see the changes in your bean. Hopefully we see some this week. Now this week our focus question is, what do plants need and where do we find them? Now I know you're thinking, well, plants need water, plants need sunlight, plants need soil. We already know that. Well, yes, it's true, we do know that, but do we know why plants need these things? So this week, that's what we're going to learn. Why do plants need water? Why do plants need sunlight? And why do they need soil? So that is what we're going to learn. And we're also going to talk about where we can find plants, right? So today I'm going to do a read aloud. It's called The Curious Garden. And this is a great story that shows us what happens when we take care of our plants and our gardens. Okay, so, and I want you to pay attention to the beginning and the end because it's going to be very different. The city where this Liam is the name of the boy in the story. Liam, in his city looks completely different in the beginning than it does at the end. So I want you to pay attention, okay? And I want to remind you, so when we read The Very Hungry Caterpillar, in the beginning we saw the caterpillar that came out of the egg. But at the end of the story, it was a butterfly. So in the beginning it was a caterpillar. At the end it was a butterfly. See how it changed? So I also want you to pay attention to see how the garden changes, okay? Now, the character in the story, his name is Liam. Liam is a boy. So let's get started with The Curious Garden, and the author's name is Peter Brown. There once was a city without gardens or trees or greenery of any kind. Most people spent their time indoors. As you can imagine, it was a very dreary place. However, there was one boy who loved being outside, even on drizzly days. While everyone else stayed inside, you could always find Liam happily splashing through his neighborhood. It was on one such morning that Liam made several surprising discoveries. He was wandering around the old railway, as he did from time to time, when he stumbled upon a dark stairwell leading up to the tracks. The railway had stopped working ages ago, and since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, there was only one thing for the curious boy to do. Liam ran up the stairs, pushed open the door, and stepped out onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of color. Wild flowers and plants were the last things he had expected to find up there. But when he took a closer look, it became clear that the plants were dying. They needed a gardener. Liam may not have been a gardener, but he knew that he could help. So he returned to the railway the very next day and got to work. The flowers nearly drowned and he had a few pruning problems, but the plants patiently waited while Liam found better ways of gardening. He's even singing to them. As the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a real gardener, and the plants began to feel like a real garden. Wow, look, it's growing. Most gardens stay in one place, but this was no ordinary garden. With miles of open railway ahead of it, the garden was growing restless. It wanted to explore. The tough little weeds and mosses were the first to move. They popped up farther and farther down the tracks and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. Over the next few months, Liam and the curious garden explored every corner of the railway. After spending his spring and summer and autumn with the garden, Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by winter. Heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season, and for the first time since he'd become a gardener, Liam could not visit the plants. Rather than waste his winter worrying about the plants, Liam spent it preparing for spring. After 3 cold months, the snow finally began to melt, and Liam rolled his new gardening gear over to the railway. Winter had taken a toll on the garden, but thanks to Liam's planning, his handy new tools, and a little help from the sun, the plants soon awoke from their winter sleep. The garden had always wanted to explore the rest of the city, and that spring it was finally ready to make its move. Once again, the tough little weeds and mosses set out first. They popped up farther and farther from the railway and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. The garden was especially curious about old forgotten things. A few plants popped up where they didn't belong. Uh-oh, what is it covering over here? That's right, it's a stop sign. It's covering a hydrant. Others mysteriously popped up all at once. But the most surprising thing that popped up were the new gardeners. Look at them, taking care of the plants. They weren't there before. Here they are, having a picnic, playing by the water. Wow, someone here is getting super creative. Many years later, the entire city had blossomed, but of all the new gardens, Liam's favorite was where it all began. The end. Well, did you all enjoy the Curious Garden just as much as I did? I hope so. It really shows us how one person who cares can make a big change, right? So I want you to discuss what happened in the beginning and what happened at the end. Okay, so we saw that the city changed, but how did it change? And also, what caused it to change, right? So I want you to have those conversations with someone at home. And I've also posted other questions for you to also talk about. So I hope you all have a great learning day and an awesome week. And I look forward to seeing all your work on Google Classroom. Bye.